Okay. Ken Buck retired today. Republican congressman from Colorado. All right. We're losing another Republican. We lost Kevin McCarthy after everything that went on. Then we went and threw out George Santos, something I didn't agree with. As much as a lying sack of shit as he is, as much as he embellishes everything that comes out of his mouth, he's like the kind of the John Lovett's ticket character. Yeah, that's the ticket. We shouldn't have thrown him out. We should have let the New York voters decide whether to get rid of him. And my problem is we lost 3 votes on the Republican side in a little over a year. Bob Menendez is still in the Senate. Bob Menendez has been indicted 3 times, counting the prior incident 4. I mean, he was indicted before for bribery, and they left him stay in the Senate. And here he was not just bribery, he was going down to the Dominican Republic to have sex with little girls on a private jet. Sound familiar? Kind of like Epstein? Yeah, that was part of what was going on with Menendez in his prior case. And he's still in the Senate. And now he's been indicted for three more indictments. I don't know how many counts. They found gold bars with Egyptian stamps in them under his bed. He's been dealing with the Egyptians. He's been selling them stuff. And he's still there. He's still there. But George Santos is gone. George Santos is a vote we really need now, and we don't have. And personally, I mean, I find the guy repugnant, but I find Bob Menendez even more repugnant. I look at the Dem side of things, and I see Eric Fartwell. Fartwell was for years he was banging a Chinese spy, and then you got what's her name? She's gone now, but the senator from California that passed away, she was getting driven, had the whole driving Miss Daisy thing going on with a Chinese spy. These are what the things that go on in the Dem Party, and people just look the other way to it. But when it's one of our guys, we want to hold ourselves to a higher standard. I realize that, but you know, he was a useful idiot, and right now we could have used his vote, and I'm sure we're going to expand our majority in the upcoming elections. We're going to take control of the Senate and expand the House. But see, the House is different because the Dems redrew the congressional maps in the state of New York and the state of California. And because of that, we may not retain the House. We may lose the House. And that's something to be considered. All right. Now we had this meeting today, this um, hearing today about Biden, him being, sticky fingered with classified documents, and pretty much this guy Herr was a pinata because people on both sides were taking a whack at him, and given some of his stuff, I think he tried to be a little too middle of the road, and with this whole senile, not senile thing, but this whole thing that how the jury would have looked at him. That's not the way you play it. That's not the way you play it. I mean, there's a lot of elderly people who get charged with crimes who one of the people mentioned about if somebody got into a car accident, and of course he wouldn't answer hypotheticals, and there's a lot of hypotheticals out there that need to be answered, but here let's take a look at if you have a D behind your name and you ran for office. In most cases, you're going to get a free ride, and in some cases, I mean, one case we had a Republican too, but here we got Clinton, sock drawer full of classified files. Nothing happened to him. Bill Clinton, Hillary Rodham Clinton had a server, an email server in her own home that she got from the government. That's but it was unsecured, and she bleach bit. She knew she was being investigated. She bleach bitted it. She destroyed her Blackberries with a hammer. She refused to use what everybody else was using was Apple, and she liked her Blackberry. Well, she destroyed it with a hammer. That's called destruction of evidence. And of course, Big Goof, Comey, Big Goof left her go. Freaking Lurch. He left her go and explained why. And it was a lame half-ass excuse, just like the lame half-ass excuse of Biden, that a jury would see him as a kind old man. But also this her guy, he I don't think he's as great a lawyer as they make him out to be, and I'll tell you in a minute. All right. Biden's hoarding of documents started when he was in the Senate in the 1970s. He was in the Senate for 36 years. He was a VP for 8. And all right, so you're looking at 44 years of in the government at that time. 44 years now. He's pushing 50. Well, no, pushing 47. Everybody says he was in government for over 50 years. They also forget. I think he was in the House for part of that time. Because I know he swapped positions with Tom Carper at one point. All right, well, so Biden's had a stockpile dating back into the 70s. And the one thing they kept saying is they couldn't prove intent. They couldn't prove intent because of his diminished capacity. Well, here's the thing. And the only person who saw through that was our Congressman, Russell Fry. The intent is when the incident occurs, not 40 years later. The incident is when the intent is when the incident occurs. And here you see intent displayed over and over and over and over again because he had these documents. Now, another thing Russell brought out that nobody else brought out in that meeting. See, everybody else was interested in posturing, and he was interested in being probative and getting answers. There were documents that disappeared from books that had classified documents in them over the years that he didn't return, and people reported it, and they still haven't recovered those documents. Yeah. It's unreal. I think the only person who actually has been prosecuted for taking stuff from the National Archives was Sandy Berger. Sandy Berger, who worked for the Clintons, went in the National Archives in 2005 and stuffed down his pants leg, and he got caught. But like Biden, he was going into the skiff when he was a senator and walking out with documents, and he was going into skiffs when he was a VP and removing documents. He was reading documents to the guy who was writing his biography, and he was taking documents to try to create this personality of him that he was more of a brilliant statesman than he thought he was, or than other people thought he was. They were trying to, he had documents from the Surge and stuff like that. When someone said that, made a statement that Joe Biden's been wrong on every foreign policy issue over the last 50 years. And it was supposedly Barack Obama said, never underestimate Joe's ability to fuck things up. And I think both can be attributed as true. Biden had now they were trying to make things about Trump. Everything turning around trying to make things about Trump. That Trump had things sitting in squirreled away in the bathroom and this, that, and the other thing. Trump had things in a room that you had to go through the bathroom to get to that room. It was, I guess, a mechanical room, and it had a lock on it. And the FBI asked them to put a second lock on it. So that's where Trump had his things, had the documents. Whether they were in a filing cabinet or boxes, I don't know. But that's the one assertion that keeps being made is that Trump had them laying all over the place and laying them in inappropriate places. No, you had to go through a bathroom to get to the room that I think it must have been some kind of mechanical room, or I don't know, possibly even a plumbing chase. Some plumbing chases can get pretty large. But I know I've stored things in plumbing chases when I worked as a maintenance lead in schools. I've stored things in things that need to be put there that were appropriate. Wasn't hiding things, but it's a good place to hide things too. But also, these documents were in a building that were being protected by the Secret Service. Was Biden's house was that protected by the Secret Service? It is now, but not since the 1970s. What kind of protection did they have on the D.C. building? Right, it's literally right across from the Capitol. The building that it's next door to the Fox News building, where they had the Biden documents there, the Biden Center, Penn Biden Center. What kind of security did they have at the University of Delaware? What kind did they have at the Wilmington Penn Biden Center? What did they have at the Chinatown building for the Penn Biden Center? All these things, I'm certain were not as much as Trump had. One of the things that I was hoping someone would have asked her is Biden non compos mentis? And what that is, it's a Latin term. It's from law term that means not mentally competent. And if because the assertion he's made is regards to it makes it look like, oh, the people are going to have sympathy on him because he's feeble-minded. Well, if he's feeble-minded, how feeble-minded is he? Is he feeble-minded that he could have stood trial? And if he is feeble-minded, and if he is enough to spend trial, then the other stuff should just be taken off the board. And that he's, this kind, old guy. And there's a lot of kind old guys that do bad shit. Guys that project themselves as kind old guys that do bad shit. Like I said, you run over a kid because he mixed up the gas from the brake. God, I almost did that the other day. My foot slipped right off the brake. But, thank God there was nobody around. But, yeah, you do something like that, you should, yeah, the whole idea of letting him off on that, and nobody asked that question. There was a lot of lawyers there, but they were too interested in beating this guy up. People on the left and people on the right. Personally, some of these people that were beating him up, I wouldn't have taken any shit off of them. Adam Schiff basically insulting the integrity of the witness. Oh boy, he would get it back with both barrels for how long he lied to this country. That's just no way. And Eric Fartwell saying what he said. You don't insult somebody's integrity when you're sleeping with a Chinese spy. You just don't do that. So that's pretty much it. Stay safe. God bless.